We actually got to come back, y'all, with the interesting thing that happened in Perfect Acre Inc. by Barbara Brooks Wallace. Oreo Jr. went to that hyena in our last story and got, the witch doctor, or AKA the cosmetic surgeon, and he wanted to look like a monkey since we in the monkey cage. So period. Yeah, he switched it up. Yes, he keeps you on your toes, right? Okay, let's get going. Let me throw him back there. Even with your surgery, sir. um, and let's get started where we left off. Okay, here we go, y'all. Inside the cage, Puck and Perfecta were trying to vanish. Faster than a flick of a monkey's tail, they had flipped around so their backs were turned to the front of the cage. They were now digging frantically in their pockets for their covers of the night. Neither Mr. Snoop nor the aunties appeared to have noticed them. However, because the trio's attention was concentrated totally on something else. It could be anything. Aren't those your officials, Drooper? Inquired Auntie Glumper in a frosty voice. And aren't they supposed to be gathering evidence to be used against the animals? Added the equally frosty Auntie Squint. Are you suing them? Like, what do you need to get evidence against the animals for?
I don't know.
We're in strange times. Yeah, we're in strange times. Why aren't you speaking to us about this, Drooper? From the groan that issued from Mr. Snoop, it seemed that Auntie Glumper must have dug him in his sore arm with a sharp elbow. But he managed to collect himself speedily. What are you doing? He shouted with as much fury as he could muster. We're working hard, just doing what we're supposed to do, Mr. Snoot, stammered Feasel. We're forming a committee to count the monkeys, said Puddle proudly. After all, it was his grand idea. Count the monkeys? Count the monkeys? Mr. Snoot had by now succeeded in working up a full head of angry screams. You were supposed to find a way to get rid of them, not count them. Do I sound like a boss? I sound like somebody's mad boss. Oh my God.
Against the monkeys.
Who? Mr. Snoop?
Yeah.
Well, no, they're supposed to. Scott, he's trying to sue them. Auntie Glumper turned to Auntie Squint with mean pursed lips. Count the monkeys, indeed. It sounds like some kind of silly children's game. It isn't a game at all, replied the injured Puddle. We are going to count the monkeys because there are more of them in the cage now than when we were here the last time. Fizzle, Poddle, Piffle, and Peebles, like four puppets with the same string, nodded their heads in support of Puddle. More monkeys. There couldn't be more monkeys. Mr. Snoot turned to the cage. You imbeciles, he roared. These aren't monkeys. They're children. Uh-oh, girl. Uh-oh. Well, the other ones aren't. Their IQs are probably in the single digits. Let's just say that. Okay? They count monkeys. Fizzle drew himself up and puffed out his chest. Children don't have tails, he announced, proud of his cleverness. Exactly, snapped Mr. Snoop. And neither do those two. Auntie Glumper sniffed. Stupid make-believe. Made of rope, sneered Auntie Squint. You two children! Screamed Mr. Snoop. What do you mean by sneaking in monkey cages? You come here at once. The two children, hanging by their tails, which are obviously not ropes, from a bar with their backs still to Mr. Snoop, continued digging in their pockets. They seemed to ignore Mr. Snoop altogether. Well, aren't you going in after them? said Auntie Glumper grimly. Me? Right into the monkey cage? Replied Mr. Snoot, horror stricken. Of course, you. She certainly doesn't mean me, snarled Auntie Squint. After what happened with with that miserable creature, the author in charge, where we almost had to write our arms off, don't you expect either of us to risk going into that filthy animal cage, do you? But you didn't have to write your arm off, complained Mr. Snoot. I was the one who did. You know what I think about the aunties? I just want to put a little side note, little disclaimer, little sidebar up in here.
Okay.
Oh, they're controlling victims. Like, how you didn't even have to write, ma'am, ladies. Y'all didn't have to write. He did. But yet you over there talking about what you almost had to do. Y'all controlling victims. You telling him what to do, letting him take the consequences, and then complaining like you almost had him. Controlling victims. Does anybody else out there know some controlling victims? You know what controlling victims got?
Maybe.
She said almost, snapped Auntie Glumper. And don't forget, we were the ones who led the way out when that man stupidly left us alone to tend to those idiot children book characters of his. So don't just stand there, Drooper. Run along. Children making their sneaky way into our business. The very idea. Another poke at Mr. Snoot's sore arm was apparently what was needed to propel him towards the back of the cage at once. By now, Perfecta was almost hysterical. He's coming and it's gone. My cover of the night is absolutely gone. What am I going to do? I don't know, replied Puck, who was almost in the same state. Mine's is gone too. The old monkey, who had been hunched in his corner, watched the scene outside the cages with narrowed eyes, hopped swiftly over to Puck and Perfecta. Here, he said, as soon as he noted that Mr. Snoot had disappeared around the side of the cage. Are these what you're looking for? Carefully shielding them from the sights of the aunties, he held up the two silky pieces of sky with bits of stars still dancing in them. I got stars in my eyes right now. I take it that these are your covers of the night. Oh, yes, breathed Perfecta gratefully. Thank you very much, Mr. Monkey, sir, said Puck. I expect they fell out of our pockets when we got our tails all tangled up a while ago. We were laughing so hard we didn't notice it. We didn't even notice what was happening outside the cage until almost too late. I'm sorry I didn't return them sooner, the old monkey said. But if you had put them on right away, you would have disappeared, and we might not have had the visitors we're about to have. You must put them on now at once, however, and follow me to the door. Puck and Perfecta lost little time grabbing each other's hands and throwing on their covers of the night. I gotta throw mine on too because I'm doing this. Because we doing it. Scott, why are you looking confused? Is it because you like, oh my God, because you didn't grab my hand?
I guess so.
And now you can't see me? And promptly vanishing, kind of like what I'm doing. We're right behind you, sir, Puck said. At the door, the old monkey spoke again. As soon as he enters, you two slip out. You won't have any trouble. And may the happiness of the monkeys always be with you. I hope the happiness of the monkeys is with you guys too, period. Scott, may the happiness of the monkeys be with you too.
Okay.
The pleasure was and is and will be all mine, replied the old monkey. Oh, wait. Sorry, I skipped a sentence. Sorry, y'all. Let's go back. Pretend I didn't say that. Thank you again, Mr. Monkey, sir, said Puck. It really was the most fun I've ever had, said Perfecta. The pleasure was and is and will always be mine, replied the old monkey. Yes, honey, he got respect for them kids.
Yeah.
A moment later, they heard a key turn in the lock, and through the door raged Mr. Snoot. Before he had a chance to slam the door, Perfecta and Puck slipped out. The key grated in the lock behind them. I don't want them escaping before I've had the chance to deal with them, they heard Mr. Snoot's voice call out. How they got in, I'll never know. But now the key is safely in my pocket. Excellent, Drooper, returned Auntie Glumper. You have learned your lessons well, added Auntie Squint with a note of triumph. Puck tugged at Perfecta's hand. Let's go. Let's go see what's going to happen. They raced to the front of the cage where, safely invisible, they could watch what went on inside. Perfecta had to choke back a giggle as she saw the old monkey saddle up to Mr. Snoot and with the tip of his tail dip into Mr. Snoot's pocket so deftly that neither auntie saw it happen. Fish out the key and flip it neatly into a pile of hay in the corner. Sir, you ain't gonna never find that key. I'm just gonna put it out there for you. Good luck. Mr. Snoot stood with his eyes darting around the cage, his face registering first puzzlement, then dismay, then anger. They've escaped! Don't be stupid, Drooper, snarled Auntie Glumper. Are you suggesting they squeezed through the bars or just disappeared into thin air? They must be someplace, said Auntie Squint sharply. We all saw them, didn't we? Well, they aren't here now, shouted Mr. Snoot. They must have escaped. The aunties finally had nothing more to say about the subject. It was now clear to all that were there were indeed no children in the monkey cage, and also that there was no possible known way for them to have vanished. Girl, did y'all know about the covers of the night? Can y'all see me? No. How did I vanish? Nobody, of course, wanted to admit that somebody else, especially the officials, might have been right. So nobody did. Sniffed Auntie Squint. You might as well get out the key and let yourself out of the cage. Then we can all get away from this miserable place. Mr. Snoot dipped into his pocket, then dipped into the other pocket, and another and another. How many pockets you got, sir?
He's wearing cargo pants.
Oh, period. Okay. It's gone. The key is gone. Nonsense, Drooper, snapped Auntie Glumper. We saw you put it in your pocket. Try another one, Drooper, said Auntie Squint, in the tone of voice one might use when talking to a small child. I've tried them all and it's gone, said Mr. Snoot, almost whining. Okay, he want to get out. Sorry, you don't want to be in a monkey cage. He turned his pockets inside out to show the aunties. Then look someplace else, Drooper, yelled Auntie Glumper. Mr. Snoot began to search the floor, finally dropping down on his one free hand and knees and crawling up and down. Sir, they got you looking crazy as hell. Okay. You look crazy. He sent looks of horror at the monkeys flying over his head. I would too. That's why you shouldn't go in monkey cages. The old monkey graciously moved aside each time Mr. Snoot hobbled near the corner where he sat, and didn't even flinch when Mr. Snoot rummaged through the pile of hay. The key was much too well hidden for concern. So all Mr. Snoot managed to do was get himself filthier than he had already was from crawling on the floor. Besides dust and squashed fruit peelings, ew, he was now covered with bits of hay that stuck out from his hair and clothes and made him look like nothing more or less than a scarecrow. Poor thing. Dodging monkeys at every step, Mr. Snoot finally limped to the front of the cage, rubbing his knees with his one available hand. Will you bumbling idiots go find someone to let me out? He screamed at the officials. Now, I'm going to say this.
Mhm.
Would y'all yell at 5 people that you know are not smart that you need to let you out the monkey cage? Would you yell at them or would you be nice?
Yeah, you want to be nice.
Yes, sir. You the one in the monkey cage. But all 5 simply stood and looked back at him with beautiful smiles on their face. They did not seem to hear him at all. A horrible new species of animal, said Fizzle in a dreamy voice. The kind we don't want here at all, said Pottle. Oh, won't Mr. Snoot be pleased? Puddle's smile broadened. Piffle clasped his hands together happily. Just what he has asked us to look for. A perfect example of a messy, dirty animal that might sneak into a zoo when no one is looking. Sir, sir. You know how you don't like animals? They looking at you like the animals you don't like, sir. And don't forget, impractical and nonsensical as well, added Peebles righteously. Nothing at all to recommend him. No tail, no trunk, no long neck. Not even a nice fur coat. Why, he doesn't even know if he should walk on his feet or knees, exclaimed Feasel. We must make notes at once, said Puddle. Not a moment was lost in taking out pens and opening notebooks. Imbeciles, screamed Auntie Glumper. Messy, called out Fibble. The others all wrote that down. Dodos, shrieked Auntie Squint. Dirty, said Peoples. Nincompoops, yelled Mr. Snoot. They don't notice that this man can talk. No tails, said Fizzle. Let's go find Mr. Snoot and tell him about this, said Pottle. The 5 of them started to drift away, all scribbling furiously in their notebooks. Their voices carried back to the cages. No tails, no fur coats. Oh, isn't that splendid? Success at last. Idiots, screamed the 2 aunties after they shrugged and threw their hands up. I have a question. I'm going to raise my hand.
Okay.
Choose me, Scott. Y'all choose me. Somebody choose me. Pick me.
You.
Okay. If you're calling the employees that you picked idiots, what would that make them? The people that hire idiots. What would that make them?
Yeah, it would probably be idiots too.
Y'all put it in the comment section what that would make them. Okay. Now keep it PG. Keep it PG. We got children here. Well, Glumper, said Auntie Squint, I suppose we'll have to go find someone ourselves. But not until after tea, Squint, replied Auntie Glumper. It's tea time, you know. Tea time? Well, Mr. Snoot, but that takes you at least an hour. Longer, Drupert, dear, said Auntie Glumper sweetly. Then after that, we have things to do. What do y'all think they're going to do? I think they're going to be shopping. What y'all think they're going to do? The things to do, moaned Mr. Snoot. Oh, yes, affirmed Auntie Squint. Much more important things than fussing with you, Drupert. And then there's supper, added Auntie Glumper. So we might not be back until after dark. Perhaps until after breakfast. They're going to leave you right there, sir, in the cage with the monkeys. But you'll be quite all right, Drupert, said Auntie Squint. Come along, Glumper. The 2 ladies walked off, chatting cozily. While the stunned Mr. Snoot watched them leave, the invisible Puck and Perfecta in turn watched something very interesting going on behind him. The old monkey, who seemed to be able to open the door of the cage with or without a key, had quietly done so. Maybe they should have hired the monkey instead of the 5 smart men that they hired. Yeah. And I'm using smart very loosely. Out slipped all the young monkeys, who went leaping away into the zoo. The old monkey followed them from the cage and closed the door. Then he lumbered around to the front of the cage and climbed into the railing. There he sat, staring at Mr. Snoop, period. It's like, yeah, who's stupid, huh, sir? Who you said was stupid? Yeah. Catching sight of him, Mr. Snoop looked swiftly around the cage, seeing all the monkeys gone. He limped quickly to the door and began to pull on it. That won't work, you know, the old monkey called out. Mr. Snoop whirled around. Who said that? I did, replied the old monkey. Mr. Snoop limped back to the front of the cage. You? That's ridiculous. Monkeys can't talk.
Seems they can.
Sir, or you going through a Son of Sam episode. Remember Son of Sam? His dog started talking to him, period. Maybe you going through that. We don't know. When you get out the cage, sir, go to the doctor. Oh, the old monkey's eyebrows were raised as his eyes narrowed. If that's the case, why are you replying to me? Period.
Good point.
Well, huffed Mr. Snoot, unable to go on. Mused the old monkey, rubbing his chin. You know, they really are right. Who's right? Inquired Mr. Snoot. Right about what? Why, Fizzle, Poddle, Puddle, Piffle, and Peebles, replied the old monkey. They were right about you being the perfect example of a messy, dirty animal. Furthermore, you really do have nothing to recommend you. That old monkey better drag. You better drag. You better let everything out that cage, put him in there and drag, honey. Period. I do too, said Mr. Snoot indignantly. I'm clever and smart. And I'm also, he began to flounder. That's not much of a list, said the old monkey. Besides, animals are clever and smart too. It's all just a matter of opinion. And I can't say I think too much of yours, period. Remember the Hitchhiker's Guide told us that. So long and thanks for the fish, period. Oh, gasped Mr. Snoop. How dare you? I've had quite enough of this nonsensical conversation. I demand that you let me out at once. Oh, you do you? Replied the old monkey calmly. Well, since you're so clever and smart, I suggest that you just arrange to get yourself out by yourself. And with that, he leapt lightly off the railing and lumbered away. You, Mr. Snoot screamed. I demand that you come back here and release me. Help, help, help. Puck and Perfecta could hear him screaming for help when they finally left the zoo and went bursting through the picture of the living room, landing with a kerplop on the rug. Ooh, y'all.
Right.
Hey, I'm back. Okay, that ends that chapter. Y'all know how this thing ends. What did y'all learn? Well, not what did y'all learn? That's a rude way of saying it. What in this chapter stood out to each of you guys? Put it in the comment section. Scott, what part stood out to you?
That, Mr. Snoot's just probably the dumbest guy in the book so far.
What about the 5 pizzle people, the 5 P's? What about them?
In the monkey cage?
No. Well, I guess maybe Mr. Snoot is the dumb one. Okay, period.
Monkeys are smart.
They said they the smartest ones in the book, period. What stood out to me is the way the aunties treated Mr. Snoot. I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No, I felt bad for him because they kind of talk him into it and he just goes. So what I wrote down is this. Be careful doing the work of people who don't return the favor. You'll do all the work and take all of the punishment. So he keeps doing everything that they say, but he also keep getting the punishment and they just be like, well, we just gonna go live our best lives. Okay, you figure out your best life after you do everything we tell you to do. So be careful of people that treat you like that. If they're always daring you to do stuff or having you do their dirty work and you catching the consequences, let them go back. Let them go. Okay, throw them in a monkey cage and walk off like that, like the monkey did. Period. Did you have anything else?
I do not.
Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna end this thing. As always, guys, you know we enjoy having you guys here. We hope you enjoyed your time listening and hanging and laughing and chilling with us. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, check out some other live shorts, videos, all that fun stuff. And with that, we're gonna bid you guys adieu. So from wherever we are, when we're trapped outside of the monkey cage, looking at some fool who got trapped in there, to wherever you guys are, peace, love, and happiness. Enjoy you guys this Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow for It's a Super Scary Sleepover and more of the interesting thing that happened at Perfect Acres Inc. Bye, guys.